Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Curtis. As usual, I am Curtis Davenport and always happy to have any of the artists here, but have to admit, this lady is very, very special to me personally for so many reasons. And I'm excited because this is the first time she's been with us here in the jazz room before. But this is the first time that the two of us are actually getting a chance to sit down together and chat like this one on one. I know we did before, but we had other folks involved. But without further ado, let me just get to it and please welcome the wonderful, the talented Ms. Melissa Morgan.
Hi,
So,
everyone. Hi, Curtis.
hi, my friend, how are you? And I have to say, Melissa is not only a fantastic vocalist, she is one of, in this music, the truly good people that I've come across. And so this is another reason that I just really enjoy this opportunity to sit down. Melissa, for those of you who are not aware, will be with us here in the jazz room coming up as we are rounding the final stretch of season 22. She's going to be with us, her third appearance with us here in the jazz room on August 22nd and 23rd. If I were you, I wouldn't even stop to listen to me. I'd stop this recording or whatever you're watching on, get your tickets, and then get back because her shows always sell out. So, Melissa, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, and I'm just so excited to come back to Charlotte. I've been I've been dreaming of it actually, and
Oh,
we've had a few start stops, and the timing hasn't always aligned, and so I was just so thrilled when Lonnie reached out to invite me back because when you travel to places and you just feel at home,
yeah.
I really, really feel that in Charlotte with the people, God, the food. And just the overall energy I feel when I'm walking around, I just feel really comfortable. So I'm excited. And then, the rhythm section that she lined up for us, I mean,
Who
you know,
can you
sh
share, please? Can
yes,
you?
I can.
Yes.
And and I asked when we were talking about this, um, I think of them often too.
Mhm.
Um, just because they were so swinging, they were so buoyant and jovial, emotional in the music. I mean, it was incredible. Lavelle Bradford on piano,
Oh, yes.
Shannon Hoover on the bass, and Malcolm Charles on drums.
Oh,
Um,
all-star group there.
I've never forgotten them. I've thought about them, especially after the last trip I did. I just couldn't get them out of my mind.
Hmm.
Um, Malcolm is something else.
That he is.
Uh, he's like, just rays of sun, just
Hmm.
emitting physically, emotionally. Uh, and because this music is so in the moment,
Hmm.
when you have people like that are so attuned, it's just inevitable,
Yeah.
and then you're in the room like that with such a receptive, intelligent audience. They know,
Hmm.
which is sometimes intimidating when you know they know.
Yeah.
But when that collective energy comes together, it's just brilliant, and you don't always get it.
No, you're right. Very
You
true.
know, so then you have to work harder to get there. But in that room in particular in Charlotte, where you're starting from is a magical place,
Hmm.
and it is so warm, and it is so for the music. It's just an honor to be there.
Well, well, thank you, Melissa. And we certainly feel it's an honor to have you back with us again. Again, you have really, the two previous times you've been with us, I know once pre-pandemic, and I believe you were one of the first artists we featured after the pandemic. So just to have you back again and the love and the appreciation the audience has for you, I just always stand off in the wings and I listen for the first time you open your mouth and the collective you've got them
Oh,
from that moment on, and it's just such a wonderful thing to be a part of, and just I'm so honored to be able to experience it with you. I'll tell everybody a little something, a little trivia question, not that you'll ever use it, but when I first got on Twitter back in, I think it was 2009, I didn't know what to do with this new social media platform. I mean, I figured so I'd talk about jazz. The first tweet, as I found out later, that I ever tweeted, I guess, was about this lady and her debut album, Until I Met You.
no, you
And
didn't.
yes, my
That
very
was your
first
first tweet.
first tweet I ever sent, as the kids
We've
say,
got
no
to find
cap,
that.
very
We've got to
first.
find that.
Yeah, it was um it was pretty, pretty amazing as I found out. I found out only because I hadn't written it down or anything, but I found out because they did this thing, I think on the 10th anniversary of the platform, would you like to find out what your first tweet was? And so I said,
Wow.
sure. And I found out it was about you. So,
How about that?
and
Because I
that
still don't know what to do on Twitter.
Well, I have to admit, I've kind of, with a lot of things going on with it, I've kind of moved on from it a little bit. But that was back in the days, we did use it a lot. That was where I
Yeah.
started with it. So, speaking of starting, Melissa, now I know that we'll give a little bit of the audience a chance to find out a little bit more about you. You, like I am, are a native New Yorker, and you've ended up out there on the West Coast. We'll find out a little bit about how that happened as well. But I know, as we just alluded to, you some of your formative years in the music you spent up at SUNY Purchase in
Yes.
upstate New York, and I understand two very impressive vocalists were a couple of your teachers. First of all, the great Rosanna Vitro, and also Yolande Bavan, as I understand, were two. Can you
Talk
tell
about
me a little bit
magic.
about your
Yeah.
experiences with those two great ladies?
Well, Rosanna Vitro is a powerhouse.
Yes.
She's no nonsense and just comes in so strong. And that's always a great takeaway when being around or hearing Rosanna sing.
Hmm.
She just she cuts through right away. And that fearlessness and command of the music is always impressive. And then you on the, other side of things, energetically speaking, certainly not ability wise. On the other side of the spectrum, Yolande Bavan has this very soft entry into the music um, that almost melds or absorbs herself into the music, and it is so elegant and effortless. And she's like water.
Hmm.
She's like water and elasticity and just velvet elegance.
Hmm.
And then there is as well this other type of command, to stand next to John Hendricks um, and sing the way she did and
Yes.
have the tonation the way she did in that era. And also, to come in, uh, a woman of color in from a completely different place,
Yes.
surprising to the music
Hmm.
was also impressive. She she's otherworldly. She
Yeah.
really was.
She was stepping into some pretty big shoes there, even in that. I know she was
Yeah,
very young at that time, I think in her early 20s, and stepping into Annie Ross's place in that aggradation had to be pretty intimidating.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She was quite a spirit.
Um, that's fantastic. So let's talk, since we're on the subject of education, Melissa. I know usually I ask this later, but I'm going to ask it now because we're on the subject of education and getting our starts. And as you are well aware, JazzArts Charlotte, one of our main missions is education, and we do a lot of work with students. Malcolm Charles, who you just mentioned, is a former student in our program, and so many others. And I always like to ask the artists who are successful in this jazz world. What type of advice or warnings or what have you would you have for young people who are just getting started out, say high school or maybe just in college and are moving this direction? What type of advice would you give them?
Two things just came to mind. Just the
Go
first
right
one,
ahead.
listen, period. Listen. I think when we're starting out, we're just so excited to be heard, and we're so excited to try out the new lick we learned, and we're so excited for our heroes to hear us. And there's something to be said about listening. And when we get that opportunity to play with our heroes, we don't have to play too much, because sometimes the gift is just to be there with them and to hear what they have to say, to be in their presence, sometimes to hear their stories.
Mm.
And there's more of a conversation when you say less to allow for space and allow for a reply. So that's my first advice, is to listen.
Okay.
My second piece of advice, and that will always be a lifelong journey, know thyself.
Hmm.
So we come into this music of these greats, and it's really difficult to reinvent the wheel,
Yeah.
because so many of our heroes have done it so beautifully. So how do we come into this music when there are so many greats that have come before us? And the truth is, there's room for everyone. And there's certainly room for you if you know who you are, you know your story, and you can tell it. Because this music is just about telling a story and continuing it, because it's generational. So if we can really identify who we are, get to the root of it and all of it, just get in there
Yeah.
and not perform, but to share. Just honestly and vulnerably, there's a space for you. And there always will be a space for you if you are honest and vulnerable in this music. So those are my two takeaways, I think.
Well, they're excellent. I mean, hopefully, whenever younger artists get to hear or see this, whether it's before you perform or afterwards, I hope they will take it to heart because that's some very good advice. I want to stay while I'm still in your earlier days field. Let's talk a little bit about the Monk vocal competition. I know
Mm.
you were a semifinalist back there. We've never had a chance. I mean, I've known all this good stuff about you, girl, and we've never had a
You're going
chance
back.
to talk about it. I'm digging way back. So let's talk about you talked about heroes. That made that click in my mind when you start talking about our heroes getting to hear us. And I know you were a semifinalist in the Monk vocal competition back in 2004 in DC. And I understand besides, I know Herbie Hancock was involved, and there were also some pretty impressive judges that you had to stand before. Can you tell me a little bit about the experience of doing that?
Wow, man, I haven't talked about that in a long time. And truthfully, I remember it. Um, you know what I remember the most? And I've
Hmm.
never shared this before.
Okay.
I locked myself in a bathroom because I was terrified.
Oh, okay.
I was terrified to go out there. I didn't want to do it. I
Hmm.
said, I think I'm just going to go home. I'm just going to go home.
Hmm.
I was terrified. I felt undeserving to be there. And isn't that interesting now?
Hmm.
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't really know myself then. I didn't know what I could do. I didn't know what I was here to do. but I was terrified by all the luminaries that were
Mm,
judging us, the talent that I was surrounded by, and I didn't know that there was a space for me.
mm,
And then the rest is a blur, you know?
mm,
I remember just going out there and, singing my songs. And in my mind back then, all I took away was I lost.
mm,
But, now that you bring it up today, I certainly didn't lose.
I'd say not.
And someone today, just before we got on this call,
Hmm.
someone just talked to me about gratitude, and she said, not for the obvious, like I'm grateful for my home, I'm grateful for a job, I'm grateful for my family. Yes, and it's the gratitude for I'm grateful for that loss.
Mm,
I'm grateful for that fear. I'm grateful for that discomfort because it's invited me to grow.
mm,
I'm grateful for my hardships because I have something to share. I'm grateful for any struggle because
mm,
it's just invitation for movement, to be fed up, to move forward. And this music is so, it's like folklore, it's not,
yeah.
it's recorded, but all of those intricacies in the world of jazz is not always written down.
Hmm.
You know, when our elders tell us stories about being on the road or, you know, um, do you know what Anita O'Day used to do? Or do you know what Nancy Wilson used to do on the
Mm,
road? Did you know she loved books? Those things that you're just waiting for, because you want to know the person and how that person and character came into the music. And that's who we connect with, the person and their story and their journey. And, so it's, it's funny. I'm in a really reflective place at the moment
hmm.
and just feeling real gratitude because I don't have to be invited to Charlotte, but indeed I am. What a blessing.
We feel
And
the
I have
same.
an invitation, to perform and to share. And 20 years ago, I would just be enveloped in fear.
Hmm,
But now I know that is a privilege.
hmm,
What a blessing.
hmm, hmm.
So it's a lot of real full circle moments. And like coming to Charlotte and returning to Charlotte and also being there during the pandemic amidst what we were all experiencing.
Yeah.
What a full circle moment.
Hmm.
Not to say that it is all we are all like relieved of it. Absolutely not.
No.
However, you know, we move forward
Yeah.
and
Yes,
we
we
get to
do.
sit in a room together and share this energy. How great.
It is. It is amazing, that we continue to get to be able to sit and do this. So let's, along those lines, we talked about some of the greats, and as you've done in the past, you will be paying tribute to, of course, one of the true legends, Billie Holiday.
Yep.
And let's talk, Melissa, and we probably could talk for days about this,
I
but
know, but
let's
yeah,
talk about Billie Holiday. What attracts you? I know you're also a fan of Nancy Wilson and others who I've heard in your music. I've even heard in some of Marlena Shaw and some of the choices that you made on your most recent album, Days Like This. And but let's before I get off into a tangent, let's go back. Billie Holiday. Let's talk about what about her music attracts Melissa Morgan.
I don't know if I regret saying this as an opening, but I'm
Okay.
attracted to her because of her pain and grief.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
I think of Eleanor Fagan
Yes.
and what she went through, and being Billie Holiday.
Hmm.
So there were two of her. There was Eleanor Fagan and Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday was on stage, and Eleanor Fagan was surviving her life
Yeah.
very painfully, but very honestly. And you heard it clear as day. And I remember when I had a choice of whether to continue to pursue classical voice or to go
Mhm.
into jazz. And it really upset my grandmother because she was a classical singer in
Hmm.
Philadelphia. And
Okay.
she really wanted me to stay on that track. And she just couldn't understand why I was attracted to voices like Billie Holiday because they weren't, pristine
Yes.
and perfect and technically sound. But you could hear every every single feeling and part of her story in her voice.
Hmm.
The lilt, the the laid back, the just she was so in the pocket. Of all the singers, she's the most difficult to transcribe. Forget
Hmm.
trying to put her on paper
Like,
because
I
you
hear
just
you.
can't do
Hmm.
it. You can't do it.
Hmm.
You can't put a time on her time.
Hmm.
She has
Yeah.
her own time. So honestly, she was the first singer I ever heard as a teenager because I came to this music, late in my teens. I was attracted to her pain because it was something that made life feel real and okay. And it wasn't something that I needed to aspire to be by a singer who was performing. So that is my first attraction. Her storytelling is my other attraction.
Hmm.
She tells a story personally, collectively, and, you know, of the world,
Hmm.
as opposed to a singer who is a great performer, and much respect
Yeah.
because those are two things to do. But she is undeniably an honest truth teller and a storyteller. And there's no one like her.
Hmm.
Never will be. And there's something, intimidating about showing up to do a Billie Holiday tribute.
Hmm.
And, there are those questions in your mind that go through, do I need to present the music just like her? Do I need to phrase my lyrics just like her? Do I need to perform the tunes just like her? Absolutely not.
No.
It's pointless,
Hmm.
right? Um, my goal is to present her repertoire, talk a little bit about who she was, and perhaps give my interpretation of, some tunes that um, were her standouts,
Hmm.
and perhaps sing a few tunes to her.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, for those coming who haven't been with us when Melissa's been with us before, this is not like a Billie Holiday Beatlemania, so to speak. No, this is not going to be an impersonation of Billie, but as Melissa's saying, so much of the essence of what made Billie Holiday great is touched upon. And I can say it from having experienced this lady now twice in this. So much is touched upon in what she does, and it is so rich and so moving, something that I just would have to say you do not want to miss and you'll want to be with us for. So we're very excited about that. A few more things want to talk about. Want to talk about you ending up out west. I mean, starting from being in New York, and a lot of singers would be a natural progression just for you to say, "Well, I'll just stay here and I'll take my shots on the New York jazz scene." What made you decide to move all the way out to the left coast?
It wasn't something I planned or I wanted to do by any means. I thought I would be, you know, a New Yorker um, till the day I died.
Hmm.
I signed with Telarc Records
Yes.
in 2008,
Hmm.
and I had recorded a record beforehand um, that I self-funded little by little, piecing
Oh.
together, um, some from donations, some from, you know, maxing out a credit card. I don't recommend doing that. Um, but we did it.
Yeah.
And then yes, I was signed by Telarc, who was they were based in Ohio, but then they were absorbed by Concord, who is based
Yes.
out of LA.
Hmm.
And that is what brought me out to the West Coast, and for which I'm so grateful. I've learned a lot. I've grown up quite a bit here, and there's definitely um, a lot I wouldn't have learned in the world or of myself if I hadn't been here.
Hmm.
And now I have two, two places to call home and two places of reference
Yeah.
that are completely different. You know, um, the people, the lessons, the lifestyle, the the encyclopedias to go to are just different.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we're grateful that you do come at least back to the East, even if it's not back to New York, that you're coming back East to spend some time with us. Now, when we were having a little conversation before we started to record, I know you said you are bringing a guest along with you.
Yes,
So would you mind, is it a secret or can you share a little bit
not
with
at
the
all.
audience?
Not at
Okay.
all.
Yes.
Matt Garrison is a wonderful horn player and can play anything. I mean, if it weren't about checked baggages, I'm sure he would bring his clarinet as
Hmm.
well, because
Okay.
um, he's just so versatile. He'll be on tenor saxophone,
Okay.
and just like Lester Young was Billie's, dear friend, Matt Garrison is mine.
Yeah.
And I've known him for 25 years. We've grown up together, and Matt has taught me a lot about the roots of this music, and we've kind of delved into those great relationships of vocalists and horn players. We
Hmm.
were just talking about Etta Jones and Houston Person.
Yes.
We we really enjoy that conversational banter in the music, and have developed this intuitive understanding of kind of the double dutch of
Yeah.
comping with
Hmm.
a tenor player and a singer. And it's such a beautiful conversation, and I have like the utmost trust. And when I think about my jazz family, uh, one of the biggest blessings, but are so small, is that when you can close your eyes in the music and be
Hmm.
surrounded by people that you don't have to look at to know where we're going.
Yeah.
I know where we're going.
Hmm.
And he has such a rich tone. It's so beautiful. Um, and he introduced me to my favorite tenor player for me,
Okay.
Hank Mobley.
Oh, oh, yes. I
So
just wrote a short story about Hank Mobley, but that's for another time. I'll tell you when you get to
Soul
Charlotte. Yes, go
Station
ahead.
is one of my most favorite
Hmm.
albums in any genre of all time.
Yes.
And when I think about the albums that you can play start to finish and that you could even start over in a car ride,
Hmm.
Soul Station is one of them.
Oh, Lord, yes.
So Thank you, Matt Garrison. He is something to look forward to, and I'm excited for the folks of Charlotte to hear him for the first time.
Okay. Well, I'm more excited now that you've told me, and this is even a little bit more exposition than when we first started out on the relationship with Matt and what we can look forward to. So, anything, just a little, maybe a little tease, a sneak peek, anything from Billy's repertoire that you do plan on making a part of the set when you're here? I'm not looking for a whole set list, just a couple of things that you may have in mind.
Oh, sure. We'll get the classics. I'll be seeing you.
Hmm.
Um, the very thought of you. God bless the child. We have to do.
Yes.
Strange fruit. We have to do.
Yes. Okay.
However uncomfortable, it's so important um, for her repertoire and her contribution to society, to America, to history.
Yes, absolutely. And what else is coming up for you before we wrap up, Melissa? What else beyond the 22nd and 23rd of this month? What else is on the horizon for you? Anything that you'd like to share with people that they can get excited about coming up to look forward to? A
Well, I'm
tour or anything like
um,
that?
I'll definitely be back on the East Coast. I'll be at Mesro in the fall, so
Oh,
I
one of my
will be
favorite
returning
rooms.
home.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I've been working slowly but diligently on a new album
Oh.
that is cinematic of sorts. I'm
Hmm.
such a lover of film and cinema, and when I think about jazz and storytelling, it's all a love story.
Yeah.
In any way you present it, it's all a love story. And I've had an idea about doing a soundtrack um, as as an album in totality, and just the framing of a love story, and doing all of the tracks that you might see in a movie, the introduction of the location, introduction of
Mm.
the characters, the meet cute, the
Yeah.
falling in love, and just all of those tunes that kind of hit those moments in a movie.
Hmm.
That's what I'm working on, and I'm really excited to tell that story.
Okay, well, you're definitely going to keep us informed when that's closer to being done, right?
I certainly will.
All right, don't
Yes,
don't leave me out, don't leave me out there. Don't make me have to go find it on my own,
you will be
because
the
I
first.
outstanding, my friend. Well, this is a place, I guess, for us to put a pin in it, at least until the 22nd and 23rd of August. Once again, here in the Jazz Room in Charlotte at the Stage Door Theater, we have the wonderful, the incomparable Miss Melissa Morgan is going to be with us. Two shows on Friday, two shows on Saturday. Of course, Friday the 22nd, that will be at 6 and 8:15. Saturday the 23rd, 7 and 9:15. As of right now, as I speak, tickets are available for all four shows. But that's not a guarantee that if you're seeing this, say, in a couple of weeks or a couple of days before, that's going to be the case. So as soon as you see this, I'd recommend that you go to thejazzarts.org or the Blumenthal box office and get your tickets because you don't want to miss this experience. Ask anybody who's been with us before. Melissa Morgan, wonderful vocalist and my friend, thank you for spending a little time with us today. Thank you all for. I'll let Melissa have a. I'm sorry, I'm running on, so go ahead. Anything you want to say as we close, Melissa?
No, I'm just so excited to see you, Curtis. I'm so excited to go to Charlotte, and I'm so excited to eat well.
Well, all those things. Okay, restaurants in the Charlotte around the Uptown area. Melissa Morgan's
Yes.
coming to town. Get
All
ready.
right.
So, thank you all. Thank you for watching Conversations with Curtis. And until the next time, as always, keep swinging. God bless you and take care of yourselves. See you later.